Hello, hello, and welcome to another round of Tarot with Queen Astro. I'd like to thank everybody who's returning. Thanks for coming back, and for those of you new, welcome. I will say that there's usually not, if you can hear a fan in the background, I usually try to turn those off while I film, but lordy, it is so toasty where I am, and I need it. So thank you for, going with the little bit of a smooth hum here. But enough about me, let's dive into you. Today's tarot reading is designed to answer the question, what does your future self want you to know? And future self, I kind of get tripped up about that sometimes because in theory, if you know the future is not set in stone, what version of the future is coming back to me, right? Like, is this my ideal future self, or is this the future self if I stay on this path? Sometimes I feel like I get too in my head about it. That sort of like grandfather paradox sort of stuff. So let's just keep it simple. For purposes of this reading, future self is your ideal self. Just because, like, your ideal future self, like, this is the future self. They are going to want you to know something to get them there, right? Or something that helped them or hindered them or what have you. Hope that made sense. I just like to clarify that because I don't know, that always trips me up for some reason whenever I see, like, well, how can my future self tell me, like, how can I trust my future self? What if it's a future self that I don't like that future? Just getting way too in my head about it. So in case you are also like me, we're saying this is your ideal future self. So no worries there, friends. All right, now that you've heard me rambling, here are the piles you have to choose from. So pile 1, we have Loneliness, number 28, and this is from the Dream Interpretation Oracle. Pile 2, we have Wedding. Pile 3, we have, I'm a little shaky, sorry y'all, Peace. And then pile 4, we have Money. Right, and again, so these are all designed for what your ideal future self wants you to know, friends, okay? And to those of you who have subscribed already, thank you so much. If you can take a second to like, comment, share, subscribe after, during, watching, awesome. Timestamps are below. You can pick a pile or piles that resonate with you. Sometimes there's multiple messages for a person, sometimes there's none. So yeah, with that, let's get into it. What does your future self want you to know? Hello, if you're here, you picked pile 1 for what does your future self want you to know? And the card you picked from the Dream Interpretation Oracle is Loneliness. And here we see a figure, lots of blue. Standing looking for something, or someone maybe, but there's a person right behind them. And they're out looking. Okay, I feel like I was like called to be kind of quiet there for a second, pile 1, because I think right off the bat, a message from future self I'm getting is this: if you are feeling a sort of loneliness in any capacity, pile 1, which we all do from time to time, it's a state, it's temporary. But if you feel like you've maybe been in a prolonged period of loneliness, or that you've been like seeking out, you're like, no, but I've been actively seeking out like people or activities or potential love interests that also suit me. There's almost like a busyness, I feel, pile 1, that is preventing you from sort of letting the emotions thaw and addressing them, right? Like, you've got all the snow around you, and think that there's help around you. So I think, I'm just getting off this card alone, your future self wants you to know that there are people around you who want to help you in whatever endeavor or, life experience you're vying to have. But there's a need to be still just for a second so you can know where you're going. Because if you're constantly looking, not taking that moment to sit, and like if you sat in the snow, your warm butt would start to melt it a little bit, right? Some of those emotions would get going, which is okay. Like, maybe your pants get wet when you sit in the snow and your hot butt melts the snow, but that's okay. So that's kind of what I'm getting, pile 1, off the bat, is your future self wants you to know that you don't have to busy yourself or avoid these feelings, being afraid of some sort of flowing of feelings. It's going to help this loneliness, because, you even hear this little figure. There's a couple people being like, doo-doo, hello, and they both look very friendly. So let's keep going, pile 1. I've got some tarot cards I pulled from 2 decks, and then I'm going to close the reading of what your future self wants you to know with one of my favorite decks, the Empath Activation Oracle. And I pre-pulled these. I mean, obviously I saw the Dream Interpretation Oracle, but I have not seen these. So I pre-pulled, but not pre-seen. So let's both find out together what your future self wants you to know, pile 1. Right. Wow, we've got Strength. Oh, what a gorgeous card. So Strength to me, which I think can sometimes be misconstrued as being busy. Like, oh, I'm being so strong, I'm holding on to all these, like I'm getting all these tasks done, or I'm always persevering. But here with this Strength card in particular, there's such a beautiful balance here that comes with this. And it's also, I think, interesting. It's, you know, usually the Strength card is a feminine energy, but this is, I believe it's an elk, and that is a masculine elk. So there's a sort of almost like stoicism that maybe has served you in the past, but there's a need for balance now. But let's keep going before I keep spewing stuff. All right, wow, we've got Temperance in reverse. Interesting. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing something. Let me move these up so they're a little more lined up. And then you've got the Seven of Swords in reverse. I believe these are tarantulas, or a tarantula, I'm sorry. Interesting. And then you've got the Empress in reverse. Wow, so you've got 2 major arcana already, and I've only pulled one of the tarot decks so far, pile 1. But yeah, this is making a lot of sense to me with the oh, I'm sorry, you have 3. 1, 2, 3. Holy smokes, I count good. But this makes a lot of sense to me. Like, look at, and it's interesting that it's like I laid it out like this. Like, I didn't really think to be like, oh, I'm gonna make it so the figure's looking at all of this. But it feels like, especially with Temperance in reverse and the Empress in reverse, this again points to that like lack of balance, right? You know, something's in excess, whether it's living in your head or like a crab, just like being, you know, self-isolating, right? That loneliness. There's something that needs to be tempered, for lack of a better word, or, you know, put back into balance, because this triangle is going to have a hard time staying at its tippy point a long time, right? Like, yeah, I can balance for a minute, but be much more sturdy for the other way, right? Now, before I read these 2, I actually want to do the next tarot just to see if they clarify something, because I don't want to speak ahead of what I don't want to get ahead of myself, rather, pile 1. But definitely let me know in the comments if this is resonating with you so far. All right, so we've got the 2 of Swords, which is Decision in reverse. Wow. Okay. Yeah, like in reverse, it's usually referring to indecision, pile 1. So, or this sort of fear of danger that really is in your hands. Like, it's not to say that whatever it is that's making you nervous or you're afraid of moving forward with, like, say it is your, yeah, I have, this is just an example, I'm not saying this is everyone. If you've been like, yes, you know what, I have been isolating more than I would like, and I haven't been as social as I would like, but I have a lot of social anxiety, and I don't even know if I should go. Should I go? Because won't I look silly if I go and like leave after 10 minutes? Like, there's this sort of like being in your head and searching for an answer that's going to get you into a situation without any fear or doubt. But that's where the strength comes in, because being courageous doesn't mean you don't have fear. It means you act in spite of fear. Pile 1. Let's keep going. All right, we've got the 4 of Wands also in reverse, and that's Celebration. Yeah, like it feels like your future self is saying, hey, there's a lot that I don't want you to miss out on. A, because it's fun, like it's a celebration, but B, it gets us to where we want to be. And then, yeah, 2 of Wands also in reverse, Planning. With the 7 of Swords in reverse, interesting. Let me pull the last one, and then we've got 9 of Discs upright, Culmination. Wow, what a beautiful card. Yeah, so with the planning, with the 2 of Wands, which is like the fire in reverse, especially with the 7 of Swords, I'm going to really quickly refer to the guidebook just because I want to make sure that I'm giving you the exact nuances of this deck because it's so pretty. And I believe the spider has significance, but I want to make sure I'm telling you the right thing, pile 1. Yes, does this sound like your future self? And if not, yeah, let me know. And you're like, how can it sound like my future self? I think you would just know. Yeah, it's Black Widow. She's 7. Yeah, Confession deception. The Seven of Swords suggests you are embroiled in a battle against imposter syndrome. You may feel you're deceiving others about your skills, capabilities, and or ability to handle the responsibilities you've been given. Don't allow yourself to become entrenched in these feelings or they will consume you, right? They will, like the fire will consume you. Like if you're panicking, like imagine you had those two torches and you were holding them really close to your head and you kept looking back and forth between two decisions you could do, like, like if you kept moving back and forth, like the oxygen would keep feeding the fire and you set yourself on fire. I know that's kind of a very dire thing to say, but you know, metaphorically speaking, pile one. Believe in the faith that others have put in you, and if you can, reach out to others for some honesty and reassurance, right? Like, so right now it feels like you're almost looking for the strength within yourself. You're like, no. Once I like bake this in, like a crab bake, like once I bake this in, I have everything I need, this like strength, then I can move forward, because right now I don't feel safe to do that. Right now like again, that indecision, you've got 2 2s in reverse. It also kind of calls to really talking about, or like being honest with yourself about what it is that's bothering you. So kind of again, with the card that you chose, or the number that you chose, brought you here to this loneliness card. But maybe there's something you're not admitting to yourself. Like again, that snow, that frozen emotion you're not allowing to flow really. That's preventing you from moving forward. That's preventing you from actually planning something you should celebrate. And especially with the Empress in reverse, which, oh, what a beautiful card. Can I pick her up? Let me put her up right for you. Such a beautiful crane. And with all these, I believe these are peace lilies, or they're lilies for sure. But this culmination with the Empress, it kind of is saying, like, I think there was a period worth, you know, doing some introspection, or not doing introspection, but like, you know, doing a 180 of the situation, like looking at others or what have you. But now that the Empress is in reverse, it's like kind of calling you for this culmination, for this end of this cycle. You need to look within, to let that water melt, for lack of a better word. Yeah. That's what your future self wants you to know, because the culmination too, like the Nine of Discs is also like this completion. It's this material thing too. So it's not just like, I don't want to say just, but it's not just in your head. It's like, because, or if rather, you do find the way to balance yourself and to let yourself feel the emotions, not necessarily sulk in them, but let them pass through you, right? Because right now, just keeping them frozen, you're not feeling them, but they're still there, you know? Like the shell, like, yeah, it's protecting you, but at what cost? Pile one. And because this is the disc, which is, you know, the earth realm, like, again, this internal change will lead to external change as well, or, you know, changes in your external 3D reality if you have, or what have you. Okay, and what we're going to do, pile one, to end for what your future self wants you to know is, this is a card, well, I haven't flipped it yet, but this is a card from the Empath Activation deck, and each card is designed to activate the energy within you when you look at the art. So let's see what you got. You got number 29, which is Megalithic Gateway. You see it's like stones, a lot of earthy colors. And what's interesting about this card, pile one, is first of all, once this all melts, look at how green and lush your world would become, right? But Megalithic Gateway is interesting because this is all about like travel in the physical realm, like actually going somewhere. So maybe like you have had, like, you actually do know what you want, right? Like there has been like some self-deception, but you're like, no, I do know what I want. And your future self is like, go do it, dude. And if you need to be inspired, if you need to go somewhere to be inspired, like if you've been in the same place for a long ass time, like if you've been just hanging at home and going out once a week to grab groceries or whatever, like go to a coffee shop and work, or go to, your favorite park. This card specifically calls for like, megalithic, meaning like, Stonehenge, or, some very big, almost like sacred space. But it doesn't have to be that, like, it can be what's sacred to you. So there is like, again, like if there's just like a corner coffee shop that you love, and there's like a booth that anytime you go there, you're like, I feel great. Like make that journey. Like, and I know it might sound silly, like, oh, that's not a journey. It's just going to, 3 blocks away from my house. Have you gone 3 blocks away from your house in a while? No? Then it's a friggin' victory. It is a journey. And don't give into that imposter syndrome. Your future self is really like, you've been planning long enough. Like they're like, this scouting is done, for whatever that means, because now we've kind of been just like stalling this decision or any sort of planning that can lead us to what we want, right? There's been a lack of balance, and the strength comes in, again, not necessarily being fearless, but in acting in spite of it, because you do have that power, especially with the Empress in reverse. Like, it's innately in you. Yeah, pile one. Your future self is really just kind of saying, you know what you have to do, which I know is so cliche, but like sit with yourself for like 10 minutes and just say, you know, like do a mantra, or, you know, whatever it is you need to get into like the void state. Like I'll do I am, or I'll do a mantra just in my head over and over until the spaces between, you know, I am gets longer and longer. Sometimes it takes a long time, sometimes it doesn't. And then it's like after you're in like a clear space for a second, just say, what do I want? And don't judge it. Just what's the first thing? Like, don't like think about it. Just say, what do I want? And wait for the answer, and it'll come to you. Or like, what do I need to do? Like, and then you're like, oh yeah, I didn't know that. But you just have to listen to yourself. You don't have to look outside. You can travel somewhere to inspire yourself, but staying in your shell, monitoring from afar, is not doing you any services, says your future self, because there's a lot we want to do, and you have that power. All right, I will end your reading there, pile one. Definitely let me know in the comments if this resonated with you. Thank you to those of you who have already subscribed. You know the drill. If you can like, comment, share, subscribe, it helps my channel grow and helps me do more of these, and I enjoy doing them, and I really hope that they bring you some clarity or insight or something you were looking for today that makes you feel good. And until next time, I'll see you next time. All right, bye, pile one. Hello, hello. If you are here, you picked pile two for what does your future self want you to know. And for those of you who already subscribed, thank you. For those of you who have not, maybe consider doing it. I don't know. But let's hop to it. What does your future self want you to know? You picked from the Dream Interpretation Oracle, Wedding. We've got here two figures. They look very steampunk or ska-y with the plaid pants into it. And they look very in love, or at least this one does. We can't really tell this figure has glasses on. But they're floating, and it looks very happy and lovely. So, pile two, maybe you picked this on purpose, or maybe you were just drawn to it, whatever the reason is, but your future self is probably going to be telling you about, you know, any relationships, and this doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. I mean, obviously with the word wedding, I would lean towards, yeah, it has to do with romance, but it could also just be like, you know, some sort of very huge life commitment, right? Like it could be somebody you're teaming up with to start a business, or, you know, a BFF of 20 years, or, you know, somebody like some sort of union that you've invested a lot of your time in. But let's see exactly what they want to tell you, because I can't really tell just off of this. Yeah, let's see what they have to say. I did pull pile two just so you know how this works. I pulled from two different tarot decks and a card from the Empath Activation Oracle. I've pre-pulled, but I've not pre-seen, so we will all find out together what your future selves have to tell you. All right. So we've got here 9 of Wands with resilience. Very Sailor Moon vibes to me. The 6 of Cups in reverse, innocence. You've got the 10 of Discs, establishment in reverse, or the 10 of Pentacles. And then you got strength in reverse. Interesting, pile two. So what I'm getting so far, before we pull the rest of the tarot, from your future self, this sort of resilience, and you know how I said Sailor Moon? I think there's almost like a loss of innocence, or, you know, like something that you were maybe like nostalgic about, or something from your past that looking back, it wasn't as rosy and lovely, or didn't serve you in the way you thought it did, if that makes sense to you, pile two. That kind of flips your world upside down. Like you were so established in this belief, and like maybe it was with like a partner or a business or like some sort of commitment that you're like, oh yeah, this will always be in my life, whatever that is to you. Pile two. But there's been sort of this loss of innocence, like, and I think in like retrospect, your future self is saying like, if you take time to look at whatever situation this means to you, again, like you could have a partner and this could not relate to them. It could relate to any, like, you'll know, like it'll be the one thing you're like, oh yeah, that's the thing that I thought was like all goo goo eyes and ended up not being, you know, be it a job or an apartment you just rented or what have you. Like this establishment was kind of shaken up, and I think your future self is, you know, telling you like, hey, we get through this, like don't worry, we're resilient, but also that this like sort of needed to be shed, if that makes sense. Like this sort of belief system or this like I really feel like this has more to do with like an internal belief system, like needs or needed, if it's already happened or in the process of it, to be shaken up, to be broken down. And with the strength in reverse, I feel like it's also kind of calling to, like, yes, there's a like be resilient, but I think pile two, there might be like a tendency for you to feel like you have to carry everything on your shoulders. And I think your future self is saying like part of the patterns you're breaking are this like idea of like you need to carry so much in order for things to work, especially relationships. Like maybe you're realizing like, oh my gosh, like I was doing X, Y, and Z in this friendship and they never called me, and they, you know, or not never, we don't want to use never, always, or I was usually the one who called, I was usually the one who set up plans, I was, you know, and obviously there's a strength in that, and sometimes people need that, you know, sometimes there's friends who are in a rut and you need to be the one who calls, and they're not going to want to go out, but they just need to, like, okay, well, you're invited, you know, just so you know, like if somebody's kind of going through it. But I think pile two, what your future self is saying, you've been doing so much carrying, and this like sort of loss of innocence is like, you kind of see that like people or situations or like had established like a sort of take is what I'm getting, pile two. But let's keep going. Let's see what the rest of the tarot have to say, and then your empath activation oracle. Definitely let me know in the comments if this is resonating with you, pile two. All right, yeah, wow, okay. Yep, we got the Tower. That's a cool Tower card. Zebrafish are scary. Oh my gosh, oh, the Fool. I don't think I've pulled it from this deck before. Like I've seen it, but I don't think I've pulled it in a reading. How beautiful after the Tower. We've got the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, which is a crow or a raven, I'm not sure which. And the Four of Swords or the Sloth in reverse. Okay. Yeah, so again, this isn't to panic you, pile two. Like, but whatever this is, this Tower moment is for you, this sort of shattering of illusions or naivety surrounding a situation, you're gonna make it. Like your future self is like really wanting to iterate, like that's why I think they're showing you like literally the Tower to the Fool. Like torn down, born anew. Like your future self wants you to know that you don't have to carry all this stuff, and almost like, I don't know why I just keep hearing, maybe because it's all the water stuff, but I'm just hearing like Modest Mouse's Float On, the song. You know, even if things get heavy, we'll all float on, all right. But that kind of vibe with that turtle is what I'm getting. It is interesting with the Seven of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. I'm going to look really quickly, pile two, at the guidebook for this, just because I want to make sure I'm getting the nuances of the crow within this, because crows are also like messengers, you know, between worlds, if you will, which I think is so interesting in combination with the Pentacles, which is such, you know, like an earth material realm sort of vibe. Okay, distractions, deferral, aimlessness. Yeah, okay. Okay, this is making more sense now. So maybe you are like, your future self is like, yeah, there might be some sort of like, after the breakdown of this, some sort of almost, yeah, like distrust or like even like crisis. But the Four of Swords in reverse, usually the Four of Swords is like, of like quiet contemplation, rest. But in reverse, it feels like you're almost not allowing yourself, and your future self is like, dude, let yourself do that. Like, let yourself be the cool little new turtle. Like, it's like, I don't know why I'm getting this, pile two. but your future self is like, it's almost like you're the new little turtle and you're born right away knowing that you could die getting to the ocean. But it's like, do the little turtles actually know that? I don't think so. I know instinctively they're like, oh, the water, this is where we go. But they're not like, okay, I've got a 10 and, or 6 and, I'm trying to make up a 1 in 10 chance of getting to the ocean, whatever. I don't know, I was going through so many numbers. They don't know that, they just go. And I think there has been an aimlessness because of you've seen this, breakdown, but it's almost like pile 2. Like your future self really just wants you to know it's going to be okay, which I know is like the most, or one of the most frustrating things to hear. But if you keep spinning yourself out, I think pile 2 about whatever the situation was, like, oh, I could have done better, or I could have said X, Y, or Z, or if I had been stronger, even though you were already like wildly strong, pile 2, that's just going to lead to a burnout. And it's not going to serve you. I think really your future self is being sympathetic. Like they're like, yeah, because I'm your future self, so yeah, I also went through this. Future self is also sassy, pile 2. But there is a result. Like we've been through stuff like this before. But you know what? This time we're learning something about ourselves. We've learned that we can overextend ourselves. We've learned that sometimes people can take advantage of our generous and good nature. And it's kind of, not wrecked, but shaken up your established reality. But your future self is really saying, yeah, you're allowed to feel all these feelings, like, but we have to learn from them, because if we keep, sticking in our feelings, especially if you feel like you're an empath, or like, you can kind of just go into places and feel other people's energy, like that's a gift, yeah, but like also you need to learn how to let go of energies. Otherwise there's just going to be stuff in your feed that is ruining your algorithm. It'd be like if you love watching romantic comedies on Netflix and some ding dong came in and just watched a bunch of really gory horror movies. Don't know why I was called to say that, but don't let the rumination mess up your algorithm. Yeah, I should put that on a t-shirt. That's good. All right, pile 2. Let's see what your empath activation card has to say. This deck is cool. If you've been here before, you know what I'm going to say. But for those of you who are new, please feel free to subscribe. And know that this deck, the art is made to activate the energy within you. So let's see what you got from that deck. Oh my God. Evolutionary empath. Are you freaking kidding me, pile 2? Okay. So this card is very cool. Let me show you the art for a second. But like, see how they're all like, all their little vibes are like interacting with each other and like rippling off each other? That's you. Like everyone has this, obviously, like, this is how we interact with the world. Like, obviously if I say something nice to you, hopefully it makes you feel good. Like if I say something nice and genuine to you, like obviously our, what we do affects people. Like it's like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But you, especially pile 2, I think if your future self wants you to know, it's like, yeah, you can, like, you are so good at reading energies, and because you're so good at reading and taking on other people's energies, you also need to be good at shaking them off, because not every energy you encounter is something you want to have with you forever, right? So really, I think your future self is like asking you to forgive yourself and allow yourself to be like, I learned from this, and did it hurt, or did it frustrate me, or did I get caught off guard? Yeah, I did. But it happened. And, do what you can to move forward. Be that, going to, therapy, or, close friends and family you can talk to, or, getting more like back into your body, even like if you feel like you're really in your head, like establishing some sort of movement routine where it's like, oh, every morning I'm going to stretch for 10 minutes or what have you, just to, again, kind of get back in your body. As an empath, I like to sometimes, especially when like either before I do readings, or I know I'm going to be like, I'm a writer and I know I'm going to be writing about like a heavy topic, I will just like imagine like kind of a white glowy shield around me. Like, it's soft and nice, and it allows me to, you know, feel for whatever I'm writing without letting it consume me. That's just a practice I do. But whatever equivalent of that for you, pile 2, that allows you to be like, literally, like, just take the energy off my body. And maybe that's like, you know, hypnosis or meditation, but really allowing yourself, because you deserve it. And yeah, your future self is really reiterating, like, I think too, like, how quickly, like, after this tower moment, you are born again, especially after you let go and are able to kind of shed excess energy. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. Definitely let me know, pile 2, if that resonated with you. I hope that it brought some clarity or insight, because obviously your future self loves you because you love you, because you're here to learn about yourself and grow. And that is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself and for the people around you. So thank you so much, pile 2, for being here. You know the drill. Please like, comment, share, subscribe if you can. It really helps my channel. It helps me continue to do these. And until next time, I will see you next time. All right, bye, pile 2. Hello. If you are here, you picked pile 3 for what does your future self want you to know? And the card on the top of your pile from the Dream Interpretation Oracle is Keys. And what's interesting about this card is the figure is blindfolded. There's another figure kind of looking over them, and they're sticking it into this other figure's thumb. And hold on. Or not sticking it, but like resting it upon them. And it's not this figure's, like, that's not connected to that guy's body, or at least I don't think it is. But it's sort of like, I feel like it's almost like this is your future self, pile 3. And it's almost like a blind trust where, I don't want to be like, once you hear this reading, you'll know exactly what to do. But I think pile 3, what your future self is saying is, like, there's a certain amount of like blind trust in the universe, or in God or creator or source or whatever you want to call it, that needs to happen to get where you want to be. And there might be some hesitancy, especially since, like, in this, again, with this card, it's very interesting because it's like, that's the key to the door. And it's like, oh, were they so close, and are they giving up? Or are they like locking the door to go out into the world and be like, okay, I'm going to go do my thing. I trust, I don't need to stow away or whatever. But let's see, pile 3. Your future self seems to be like very like, I like to present in riddles, but I don't know why I'm getting this, but it's like, I like to present in riddles, but if you figure it out, then you're gonna be super stoked. What a little goofball, pile 3. All right, just to kind of give you a rundown of the reading, I pre-pulled some tarot and the Empath Activation Oracle, which we will close the reading with. I pre-pulled, but I do not pre-look, so we will find out together what your kind of, I'm getting like mischievous Tanuki vibes of a future self wants you to know. All right, we've got the 5 of Swords in reverse. Yeah, let me know, pile 3, if you're kind of a cheeky person, because if so, your future self is still on that vibe, and it is fun. All right, we got the 3 of Swords in reverse, 2 swords in reverse, interesting. And they almost look like they connect, but not quite. And then you've got the Knight of Cups in reverse. Interesting. Interesting. And then, oh, the Page of Wands. Little red panda. I love that card. It's so cute. All right, so, yeah, pile 3. I feel like, especially with these 2 birds, like there's sort of something you were heartbroken over. Doesn't necessarily have to be a person, but some sort of situation where it seemed like things were going in your way and they didn't. And something you really like genuinely cared about. And like the Knight of Cups too is like kind of like a slower moving knight. So it wasn't like you rushed into it, whatever it is. I'm gonna really quickly, this is a this is the most puzzling one of the pile so far, pile 3. I'm going to look at really quickly the guidebook. I want to see something about the 5 of Swords in reverse, especially with this manta ray. Let me know if this is resonating with you, because color me intrigued, y'all. Color me intrigued. Remorse, reconciliation, compromise. So yeah, maybe Interesting. Okay, interesting. With this Page of Wands, which is like passion, fire, kind of flirty, playful. Maybe your future self is saying, you feel like, okay, the story's coming. This might not be for everybody. Maybe there's a situation. It could have been with, you know, the Three of Swords. I usually think of like a heartbreak. And again, that doesn't have to be romantic. It can be like, I didn't get a job I really thought I was going to get, or my roommate moved out after a long time and I didn't realize how sad I'd be without them, or, you know, whatever. It doesn't have to be romance, but it feels like maybe it was the interpretation of you gave the key away, like just as you were almost there or something, and like almost like but I was being so careful and I was working so hard, and like this, what the Five of Swords is kind of telling me in reverse, this like reconciliation is your future self is saying like, there's going to be an opportunity for whatever this thing you are feeling like you're like, oh, I was so close and then I fumbled, for lack of a better word. There's going to be a new opportunity. Like the page is very playful energy, especially this little red panda, for this passion to reignite, whatever that means to you, pile 3. But let's keep going. Definitely let me know if this is ringing any bells for you. All right, we got the Eight of Swords with isolation. Yeah, okay. A lot of sword energy, a lot of mental spinning. Ace of Wands energy. Ooh, love that. Oop, as the cards are jumping. The Nine of Swords, fear. Okay. And the Two of Cups, union. Oh my gosh, pile 3. Like, if you need any confirmation for like a respark, that's it, baby. But I think your future self is really wanting to tell you that, like, you know, if you've been isolating a little bit to kind of like go over the situation, that's okay. Like, you know, we all have to do like what's called retcon to be like, okay, what did I learn? Where did I goof up? Where did they goof up? What can I bring to my next relationship or what have you, or encounter? And this Ace of Wands, it's like, boom, like you've got it. Like the fear like that came with like the, oh, I went so slow and steady last time and now I feel like it's like almost going to happen again. I think with the scepter, it's like almost like your future self is like, it can go either way, but it's up to what's in your headspace. Like these swords are just, they're kind of floating above her head. The figure, they're definitely like sleeping, so they're dreaming. So like this isn't like a real, I don't want to say it's not a real, but the fear or anxiety can lead back to this cycle. Or if you are able to sort of use this energy after you've examined the past in this time of like isolation or what have you, to move forward with, again, that like new playful, like, so even with like the idea of reconciliation, if, and this isn't, again, I don't know if this is for everybody, but if it is like an ex or what have you, going into it with a, like, if you want to get back with your ex and then you get back with them and you're like, oh, why does he always do this? Or why do they always do that? It's re-entering. You never really re-enter a relationship. If you re-enter a relationship, you're in bad luck because you're just re-entering the thing that you exited, right? So you never want to re-enter a relationship. You want to recreate one. And so in order to do that, you need to let go of this fear. As what your future self is saying, there, be playful, have fun. Like, remember before all the fear and dread, like with this situation, like there was an excitedness, there was like a playfulness that you had that like got you in the situation in the first place. And yeah, maybe it didn't pan out exactly the way you wanted it, but there's a chance to do it again, but you can't go in holding on to this past. Pile 3. Dang, that came together real clear. Real fast. It went from, it's so funny, it went from like literally like me being like, I don't know, and like this just super, super clear. Let me know if this is resonating, pile 3. But yeah, it just makes sense. Like, future self is like saying, we got to let go of this fear, man, because the scepter can go, it can go that way, right? Like your subconscious doesn't care or know what's real or what's not. And if you keep focusing on these fears, that can, you know, be real, sort of thing. But let's see what card you got from the Empath Activation Oracle. For those of you who are new, please subscribe. And I will also tell you, I say this in every video that I use this deck, but the art in this Oracle deck is meant to activate the energy within you. So let's take a look at what you've got. And you got Earth Stewardship. Oh, this is so pretty. So 3 is also like a number, I think, of like communication. And with Earth Stewardship, I think what your future self is wanting you to know is like, hey, if you feel like to be clear, your future self isn't being like, don't have any fears ever again, or else everything bad will happen. Like, no, that's definitely not the case. But I think your future self is saying like, you can keep perpetuating this anxiety, or like we can move forward now, like, and maybe you still need to kind of be in this headspace for a little while, you know, like maybe you still need some time to reflect. But really, especially with this earth stewardship, I feel like this is like very much saying like, come back to earth, like get out of your head and get out of replaying this thing over and over, like how close you were, because what is that doing? Like anytime I catch myself like kind of ruminating on whatever thing where I'm like, oh, I should have said this, or I should, in whatever situation, I pause and I say, hey, will this affect that situation in any way? Like right now, like is me thinking about it changing it? I'm like, well, no. Is me thinking about it making me feel better? No. Are there other things I would like to be doing right now? Yes. And so I think pile 3, your future self is really saying like, yeah, like ground yourself, like go take a walk, like go get out of your head and into nature, whatever that means to you, whether it's like, even if it's literally being like, I took a walk around the block, like just getting out and really just kind of like, if you can, you know, grounding like your actual bare feet in the earth. It can also just mean like making choices like that are more like earth sustainable. So maybe your future self is just kind of, and this might be like, you're like, that doesn't make sense in conjunction to this, but don't try to make sense of it. Like you've spent enough time in the mental realm. Right now your future self is saying like, hey, do something that is like sustainable for the earth. And that can mean like, for example, I have been guilty of like just sometimes being like, I'm just gonna order in food, like, you know, way more than I should. And A, it's not great for my bank account, but B, I'm like, I always just, there's a guilt. I'm like, oh, there's just so much friggin' waste. Like even when I request like no utensils or napkins or whatever, I'm like, oh, like it's so much waste. So I'm like, I need to cut down because like this makes me feel guilty about the earth. And then in addition to contributing less waste, I am now saving money. So like it's impacting my life in different ways. Again, I'm not saying that you're doing that, but your future self wants you to be in nature and doesn't want you to necessarily be like, well, how will this possibly help me? You don't need to know how. Just go out and just be there, man, is what I'm getting. All right, that is what I'm getting, pile 3 from your future self. Definitely let me know if this resonated, because this was just a wild ride. And I hope it brought you some clarity, insight, something that helps you move forward in a way that you feel serves your highest self. And until next time, I will see you next time. And oh, really quickly, I gotta do it. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Helps me make more of these for you. All right, and now I'll say it. Until next time, I will see you next time. Bye, pile 3. Hello. If you were here, you picked pile number 4 for what does your future self want you to know. And this card from the Dream Interpretation Oracle is money. And here we have a robot femme character who's a slot machine and just pour money out of their torso. Very steampunk. Lots and lots of money. So maybe, I don't know, just a stab in the dark, pile 4. Your future self wants to talk about material abundance, especially with 17 being the number. 17 is 8, and to me that's like I think of like the infinity, abundance, like the magician in terms of like manifestation or bringing things into the material world. So your future self wants you to know some things about how to bring this abundance into your world. Or maybe you've been like thinking about like a plan or something that like you're like, oh, I might hit the jackpot with this. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be related to money, but some sort of like material gain, like, oh, like I feel like I could actually, I don't know, I'm getting this like revamp this house. It's like fixer upper, like I can actually do it. Like there's something that like abundance material wise is coming to you. So let's put them here. And just to give you a little breakdown, pile 4, into how I've been running these readings, I pre-pulled these cards, but I do not pre-look. So we will find out together what your future self wants you to know. I've got some tarot, and then we're going to close with the Empath Activation Oracle deck, because it's my fave. I mean, it's not, I don't want to say that. I love you all cards, but I do like that one a lot. All right, we've got for you the Princess or Page of Discs, Manifestation in reverse. Actually, you know what? I think I flipped this deck. I do remember them, like this one flipped out right side up, so I am going to do it like that. Pile 4, and I swear I'm not just blowing, you know, steam up your woo-woo. I do remember that happening. So you've got the Page of Discs, or the Princess of Discs, or the Page of Pentacles, hello, manifestation. And then you've got 6 of Discs, generosity. Very fun. See, lots of material stuff here. The Seven of Cups, choices. And then the Zero, or like the Fool, beginning in reverse. Oh, interesting. So pile 4, for you, I definitely feel like you specifically are like, I'm trying to make something happen in my reality, specifically abundance related. And for you, like, I think to, can't even talk. With the generosity card, or the Six of Discs, or the Six of Pentacles, like your future self is like, yeah, like you are going to be able to bring this in to manifestation, like so much so that you were able to help others, which I think is also like part of your abundance plan, or I would hope it is. Like anybody who's making, you know, X amount of money, like we should be giving in any way we can, sort of thing. What's interesting, pile 4, that's just me, that's not your future self, that's just me interjecting. Anyway, enough standing on a soapbox, pile 4, let's get back to your future self. With choices and this beginning in reverse, like it almost feels like, and what I find is interesting about this beginning card, ooh, I'll cover her booty, or their booty, they're tattooed, which kind of leads me, I mean, I know tattoos are much, much, much more common now, and I have a ton of my own. But for you, pile 4, I feel like it's like saying the choice to this like material abundance is going to have to like buck some stereotypes, or like buck some sort of long-held belief about how things operate. Yeah, let's keep going before, let's see. Definitely let me know if this is resonating for you, pile 4. You've got the Hierophant in reverse, or Hierophant. Yeah, okay, yeah. The Five of Cups also in reverse, under generosity. The Page of Swords, a little cockatoo, or cockatiel. And then, oh, the Two of Cups, the penguins. Okay, so that's so interesting with the Two of Cups under the beginnings. And I'm reading it in reverse, isn't that funny? I usually read left to right, but this is all about bucking conventions for you, because with the penguins, you know, it's usually the male emperor penguin that carries the little egg while the mama goes out and hunts, and he is the one who, you know, sits in the egg until it hatches. So it's like sort of like, again, like bucking stereotypes, or subverting norms, whatever that means to you, for this endeavor, pile 4. And your future self is like, yes, like if you've been feeling like, oh, this choice feels weird because like I'd have to really start over in like a way that like feels like really unconventional, the Hierophant in reverse, hello, they're like, yeah, friggin' go for it. Like that weird idea you have, go for it. And especially with what's interesting with this Five of Cups in reverse underneath the generosity, I am going to look really quickly in the Animal Tarot, because that is the locust, and locusts are usually, you know, associated with plague, or just, you know, generally not awesome things happening. But in reverse, there's sort of like, maybe whatever brought you to this place, pile 4, where you're like, I'm trying to figure out how to say it. Like there might have been a moment where you were like kind of holding on to this like Hierophant, or this like sort of like the like task, like check off the boxes. That is how you get things done, which yes, that is absolutely super important in a lot of ways. But I think it's like there's time to release that, like especially in reverse, it's like there's a sort of self-forgiveness that's happening, maybe for like, you almost like feel like there was like a hindsight, like, oh, I should have seen how I got here. But it's like, hey, guess what? You are here. And the great news is you are ready to start, and like start with like, you know, a little feather in your hair. Like, you know exactly what you want to do. And the Page of Swords has like such a mental acuity, and just like a fierce nature about them, pile 4. And I think your future self is saying like, yeah, dude, you've made the choice, or, you know, maybe you were forced to make a choice. Like say you know, got let go from a job or what have you. It's like either way, the choice was made, and you are here in this new beginning, and you got to go the weird way that you know will work. I don't know why they're like the weird way that will work. Let me know if that resonates for anybody. That might be just be for like a person. You know, the weird way that will work. But what I like about the Page of Swords too, is like the blade's pointing one way, and they're looking another way. But what's also interesting is there's a sort of, like, I think it's like cockatoos who can, like, their heads can go like almost like Chucky, like, or like, you know, Exorcist all the way around. Like they're inquisitive and they look around, but not in a sort of hanged man or hermit way. It's for what is the quickest point from A to B. It's in the effort of not wasting time. And I think what your future self is saying is, like, you've learned the lesson, you know what to do. And maybe there is some like self-forgiveness that needs to happen. Like if you feel like you're like, oh, I don't know, I feel like I messed up, and if only I had done this, cut it out. Cut it out, like Uncle Joey in Full House. Because you're meant to, like, yeah, again, like, subvert expectations and to, like, defy norms to get where you want to be. And because, like, hello, you've got manifestation, generosity, like, such powerful energy. But let's see pile 4, what your empath activation card has to say about what your future self is trying to tell you or wants you to know. Oh, interesting. Oh, and I didn't even tell you this. I usually say this in the videos I use this deck, but the art in this card, which is Inner Child for you, 7, is meant to activate the energy within the viewer. And this card, what I think is really interesting, you see like all these like little overlaps, like A, it's really pretty, but B, it also speaks to like potential inner wounds or patterns or coping mechanisms we've held onto that, you know, maybe served us as a child and like we needed to do things, but that aren't necessarily serving us now. And this ties in really heavily to forgiveness. So maybe I'm getting a feeling, you know, your future self is saying like, yeah, you are ready to go, but, and especially in reverse, it's like, you do need to forgive yourself. Like you're at this new beginning. You have this beautiful, beautiful opportunity for like balance and union, whatever that means to you, pile 4. But this inner child, you need to forgive yourself for like perceived or actual errors you made. And I am going to actually read from the guidebook because it does have I know this card well, has a really beautiful little starter for a way to reconnect with your inner wounded child, if you will. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, something that necessarily happened in childhood. It could be for you. But it could be in the recent past or something that you're holding on to that you feel isn't serving you. Or like, especially if it is like this sort of anger at yourself, or this inability to forgive and move forward. Or even like this ability to like allow yourself to break free. Like I just heard Queens break free. But what the book really suggests is just, you know, finding time to sit quietly with yourself and just say some kind words to yourself in the mirror. Or if you'd rather close your eyes, I like to do it in the mirror. It feels weird at first, or at least it did for me. And just tell yourself like, I love you. Like pull a Good Will Hunting. I love you. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. You are precious. You mean the world to me. I will never leave you. I will take care of you. You are safe here. You don't have to say all of those, but those are just some suggestions based on if any like if any of those words made you like kind of trigger or feared or what have you, maybe that's something to explore, because your future self is saying, again, there's so much for you to bring in and to buck this expectation, to subvert what people think, and to really just be a star. Like, look at the little cockatoo, like they got a little mohawk going on, like they're showmen. And like, I think you can be that, pile 4. And your future self is really asking you to just take this moment. And again, it doesn't have to be like and I've got to trudge through like 1,000 months of shadow work. No, it's just a practice. Even if it's like, for example, like looking at yourself, like when you pass yourself in the mirror, just being like, looking at yourself and be like, I love you. You are safe. Or whatever it is you need to hear. Because once you're able to do that, well, bam, pile 4. Everything you want is coming into your life. But yes, that is what your future self wants you to know. Please definitely let me know in the comments if this resonated with you. If it did, please like, comment, share, subscribe. You know the drill. To those of you who have already subscribed, thank you so, so much. It helps my channel grow. It helps me do more of these readings. I really hope that it brought you some insight or clarity, or just something that you feel is bettering your life anyway, pile 4. And until next time, I will see you next time. All right, bye.